guys, it is April from Getting Huggy with It. Today is the very last day of Everyday May. I'm surprised that I was able to get through it all and do a video every single day. It was actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I did like pre-film some stuff and I hope you guys didn't mind that, but it was kind of the only way I could rationally do this. But I really enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments below if you'd want me to do this ever again, because I personally really had a good time doing this. So today I wanted to end off May with my May wrap up. I thought that that would be kind of fitting. So I read, it was an amazing reading month for me. I read 10 books. I also DNF'd a book. Some of them were amazing. Some of them I had such high hopes for and they were disappointments. So still 10 books in 1 month is pretty damn good. So let's get into it. The first book that I want to talk to you guys about is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I snagged this at a library sale for $2 and it was like in perfectly new condition, and I loved this book. This is definitely, you know, following the trope of the unreliable narrator. We are following a woman who is stuck inside all day. She is agoraphobic, and so she's very, very afraid of leaving her home. And she drinks a lot. She drinks a lot. She spends her day drinking and watching The Neighbors and also watching old films. And one day she sees something that she shouldn't see, and she is trying to get to the bottom of what she saw. And I personally loved this. I have to say, there were a lot of shout outs to older suspense films. Just black and white films that I honestly wouldn't mind going through this book and writing down all of those films, because I'd be happy to watch them after reading this. I absolutely loved it. A.J. Finn is one hell of a writer. He's really, really wonderful. So I ended up giving this 4 stars. I will read anything now that A.J. Finn writes. So the next book that I read this May was The Grip of It. This was one of the horror books that I was hoping to read by the end of the year, and this was quite a short book and I personally enjoyed it. This is considered literary horror and I would agree with that. This isn't very scary, so I wouldn't pick up The Grip of It if you were hoping to get very, very scared. But essentially it follows a couple who moves into a home and they're hearing strange things in the house, and they believe that the house might be haunted. And what I think this really is about is the crumbling of a marriage. And I personally thought that the haunting is actually like this third presence in their home, which is the crumbling of their marriage. Their marriage is kind of haunting them. And I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I did enjoy it a lot. I didn't mind that it wasn't overly scary. There was certain bits that were uneasy. It was a very uneasy kind of read. But definitely don't pick this up thinking that you're going to have like jumpy outy parts and stuff. You're not going to get that here. Next, I read Come Closer by Sarah Gran, and oh my gosh, guys, I'm so glad I read this. I gave it 4 stars, and this is a possession story from the perspective of the person being possessed. Okay, so I wanted to read to you this portion of the book that explains what it would feel like to be possessed and how it happens so subtly. So here we go. This blew me away. She was subtle at first. It wasn't like everything went wrong all at once. Suppose you're looking at a bottle of whiskey and one part of you says, gee, I'd really like a sip of that whiskey. Then another part pipes up and says, well, you shouldn't. You have to drive home and you know whiskey's very fattening. And then a third part says, just drink it. This mental voice is new. It's a sound you're not accustomed to hearing in your own head. But it's not that different either. It's done a good job of imitating your own silent voice, and you like what it's saying. Come on, don't stop, don't think, it'll be fun, just drink it now. You wouldn't guess that that third part wasn't you. You'd probably just drink the whiskey. Oh my God. I have chills thinking about that. So creepy. Yeah, this is a short book. This is like, yeah, just under 200 pages. So it's more of a novella. And I would highly recommend this book. If you like horror books, if you are interested in possession stories at all, you have to read Come Closer. And thank you so much, Rachel from the Shades of Orange, for recommending this. It was fantastic. I also read I Capture the Castle, and I enjoyed this. I went into this book thinking that this was middle grade. It's not middle grade. This is about a family that lives in a very crumbling castle. We follow two sisters. Their father was this very prolific author, but he's only written one book and he hasn't written anything since. And it's about their lives together and the people that they meet. And there is romance in this book. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. And I listened to this one on audiobook and I enjoyed the audio. Oh, the next book, oh my God. I read this with Katie from Girl About Library. It is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I gave this 5 stars, and this book, I think, should have won like just a ridiculous amount of awards. It's so beautiful. In this book, we follow a gay man named Cyril Avery. Now, we are following him since before he's even born. We follow him while he's in the womb, throughout his entire life. He lives in Ireland and he's born just after World War II ends, and it's about his experience of being gay in Ireland, which was not easy in any way, shape, or form. Now, you are rooting for Cyril the whole time you're reading this. He is meeting some not so nice people, and he also does meet some wonderful people. It does take some time to meet them, so you are pretty much rooting for Cyril alone for a good portion of this book. That's just something that was a little bit hard sometimes, was reading about all of these people being just horrendous to Cyril. But I just personally thought it was one of the best books I've read this year, for sure. So I did have a couple of hard books that I wanted to love, but I didn't. I read Bonfire. So Bonfire was written by the girl who plays Jessica Jones on Netflix, and I thought I was gonna love this book. This is kind of a thriller about a girl who goes back to her hometown. She's a lawyer who goes back to her hometown where a company has kind of taken over the town. It's called Optimal, and they own everything and they fund everything, and the town would pretty much fall apart if Optimal wasn't there. However, they are most likely doing something with the environment. They're using products and chemicals at this company that is harming its citizens, and she's there to investigate. Now, simultaneously, she is also going back to her hometown and kind of dealing with the ramifications of what happened in high school. In high school, she was very much bullied, and one of the popular girls in her high school, who she at one point was best friends with, went missing, and everyone said she just left and that's that, and she thinks that something else happened. And it's about her experience going back, and I wasn't a huge fan. I thought that, you know, she's supposed to be a lawyer, which means that, to me at least, she's supposed to be intelligent. And so she goes back to her hometown and sees these people from high school that bullied her and were unkind to her, and for some reason she decides to hang out with them. And that makes no sense to me at all. Like, there was a lot of, what are you doing, girl? Like, She makes all sorts of huge mistakes that could jeopardize her career. I just didn't understand it. I didn't think that it was bad writing necessarily. I think the plot was lacking. The writing itself was good. So it's very much one of those things where I just don't understand. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I also gave 2 stars to Unbury Carol by Josh Malerman. Now, I love Josh Malerman. If you have been watching my videos for any length of time, you know Bird Box is still my favorite horror novel of all time. And yet, Unbury Carol was not for me. This was supposed to be a horror novel. That's the way it was marketed. I don't think that this was a horror novel whatsoever. It was more of a Western. So in this book, we are following a woman named Carol, and she goes into these very, very deep sleeps in her life to the point where she looks dead. Now, not a lot of people know about this, and her husband is one of the people that knows about it. Now, she was very, very rich when her husband married her, and he has decided the next time she's going to go into one of these very deep sleeps, he is going to bury her alive and steal her money and essentially kill her. Again, I wasn't scared. This was not horror. It wasn't. There might have been some like fantasy elements to it, I guess, or sci-fi elements, considering that she goes to sleep and looks like she's dead. It's basically a Sleeping Beauty retelling, but not horror at all. So be prepared if you pick that up. I also read Beneath the Sugar Sky. This is the 3rd book in the Every Heart a Doorway series. And again, this was another kind of dud for me. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I just didn't like where the kids went in this book. I didn't enjoy the world that they ended up going to. And I just preferred the other books. Every Heart a Doorway was so interesting to me, and then the follow-up to that, which I can't remember off the top of my head what the name of it was. I was also interested in that world, but this world, I just didn't care. It was like a world of sugar, and I didn't feel anything. That said, the writing again was good, so I did give it 3 stars, but it's so far my least favorite of the series. So after reading a few duds that I was like, what is happening? What happened to my perfect, wonderful, month of reading? I ended up picking up Foe by Ian Reid. Now, Ian Reid wrote I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which was my favorite thriller of last year, that I had read last year. And Foe did not disappoint. Now, it wasn't as good as I'm Thinking of Ending Things, but Foe was amazing. It was so twisted. In this book, we are following a couple. They live on a farm, and it's set like maybe 50 to 100 years from now. And this man comes to their farm and says, Junior, we're looking at you to go on this mission. And you'd be traveling very far away, but you know what? Like, we need to select properly. So just so you know, you might be selected to do this. And he kind of comes in and out of their lives throughout this book. And he has said to them, Junior, don't worry, Henrietta is going to be well taken care of. We're going to have someone kind of step in in your place while you're gone. So, you'll be replaced. And they'll be with her all the time. So don't worry too much. It is such a unsettling read. Like, what I love about Ian Reid is that you feel so uncomfortable the entire time that you're reading the book. You don't know exactly what's happening, but you know it's something weird and bad. And then there's always a huge reveal at the very end, and it always blows your mind, and I was not disappointed by this. I gave it 4 stars. absolutely brilliant. I think that one is coming out in August, so definitely pick that up. And if you're eager to pick up something that's gonna like really blow your mind, until then, pick up I'm Thinking of Ending Things, because I just love that one. Okay, and then the last book that I read in May was The Marsh King's Daughter. This was a really big thriller. I think it was last summer, I want to say, summer of 2017. And I really enjoyed this. This is about a woman who finds out that her father has escaped prison. Now, she grew up in a marsh, essentially. Her father had kidnapped her mother, and she was a byproduct of that arrangement. And she had no idea as a child that her mother was actually a prisoner. She had no concept at all. She just thought that they were a family that lived off the land, very much lived off the land. Now, her father was found and convicted and was put in jail, and she moved on with her life. And she actually married someone and had 2 daughters, but didn't tell anyone anything. She had changed her name. She just wanted to forget her past and forget her dad. And then her dad escapes. And I really enjoyed this book. I was gripped. You kind of go back and forth in time from like her as a child living in the marsh with her father, where they're hunting and that kind of thing to survive, and then present day with her father being released and her not knowing if her father is trying to track her down or not, is very creepy. I will warn people that there is violence against animals in this book because they are hunters and they live off the land. I'm usually very squeamish towards that kind of thing. There were a couple of times where I was like, you don't want to be reading that part, but honestly, it wasn't so bad to me. So I think that if I can read it, you could probably read it too. But I just wanted to mention that in case that's something that you would, you know, be sensitive to. So I don't know if I said I gave that 4 stars. And I did DNF one book, which I was sad about, but I DNF'd The Vacationers by Emma Straub. It just wasn't for me. It was kind of a chick lit kind of book, and it's about a family who go on this vacation. There are a bunch of secrets that are going to be revealed, and I wasn't enjoying it at all. I found everyone, there was no characters to like root for to me, so I just stopped reading it. It wasn't for me. But I had a pretty good reading month. Like when I think about it, that's pretty damn good. So I hope that you guys had a good reading month. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite book that you read in May was. And I hope that you guys enjoyed Everyday May. I might take a little bit of a break now because filming every single day and making sure that there's stuff to upload every day was a lot. So I might just have like 1 or 2 videos for this week, but I hope that you're doing super well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!